Hi, my name is Jara, and me and my husband Richard have been coming to City for over 3.5 years now. I was 12 years old when I was first introduced to pornography, and that led me to a 7-year addiction time frame where now I am 5 years into my recovery journey. I was raised in the church, but under very strict conditions and rules that we were expected to live by. I was never taught anything about sex. I was never given the birds and the bees talk. I was never given any insight into God's design or intentions. So I had no idea of what pornography was in any way until it was shown to me. And looking back, it's hard because I feel like my life changed from the typical childhood things of enjoyment and laughter and the things that I play as even as a 12-year-old. My life quickly switched where the shame and confusion and guilt, the cycle that it started for me, was very hard to deal with as a child. And I didn't feel comfortable asking for help or asking questions because I already knew in my life I'm not allowed to ask questions about even things that seem so simple compared to this. That's out of the question. I'm just going to hide this and live in that. So within the 7 years of my struggle, I went through a lot of struggles mentally, isolation and depression, anxieties, loneliness, and carrying this heavy weight everywhere I went. Even when I tried to get out of this guilt and shame addiction cycle, it was very short-lived and would quickly bring me right back to where I started from. I remember specifically, I would be seeking validation from someone, seeking affection from somewhere in my life. And if I didn't get that from a boy, I would resort to pornography to feel some type of affection or recognition of myself. That was the automatic response. That was the neural pathway my brain had made to automatically go to that. And I would try to be better and then automatically fall back into it because I hadn't gotten to the place where I really had a true relationship with Christ. Even though I was raised around Christianity, my view of God was so different than who he was. I thought he was angry at me. I thought he was ashamed of me. I didn't know who Jesus was at all. And so when I felt in my heart like I knew it wasn't right, I didn't feel like I could go to him because I thought he was angry at me. I remember a summer camp, a preacher mentioned, boys, if you struggle with pornography, you need to come out of the darkness. And when they mentioned the girls, they were pretty much more like, you need to be aware of what you're wearing so you don't cause the boys to stumble. So never had I ever heard it directed to the girls. And that just made it worse for me because I thought I'm the only girl that's struggling with this. And seeing it as a boy issue made me feel even more like dirty and alone in it. I constantly felt like I was carrying heavy chains on me, like a heavy burden everywhere I went. I never had relief. And I felt like I was keeping this secret from everyone in my life. And if they would ever find out, I would have no friends. Like everyone would see me in a different way. I thought that I was my sin because I was never taught. As Christians, we still have struggles and we will have temptations. And since I was never taught that, I thought this is who I am. Like something is wrong with me. And like I will never get free from this. This is how I'm gonna live the rest of my life. And once I started to study the Bible and study who Jesus really was, the door opened to me have actual relationship with Christ for the very first time. It was like a huge weight off of my shoulders of, okay, I am normal. I'm not like some outcast that I'm the only girl in the whole world who feels like this as a Christian. And that was a big starting point for me to actually start my recovery, was acknowledging this isn't who I am. This is a struggle I have. And having grace for myself that it wasn't going to be overnight. It was very hard because starting off, it feels very insignificant to say, I've been free from this for a day. I've been free from this for 1 week. Like I already wanted to say, I've been free from this for years. You know, it felt very discouraging to start off so small. But if you never start, you'll never have the years to look back on of freedom. So the sin thrives in the darkness. And once I pulled it out of the darkness, I already felt a huge relief. It was like I became a different person. And I even had people in my life come to me and say, you're different. I don't know how you've changed or what God has been doing, but you seem lighter, you seem happy, you seem full of joy instead of that heaviness and that shame that was in my spirit. So living in the freedom of Christ and living in the freedom from that addiction and that shame has completely changed not just me, but the trajectory of my life and where I am today. Because I'm married and I have a stepson who I love, and I wouldn't be who I am today if 5 years ago I didn't start my journey. I would say to someone who's struggling in this that there is hope. And while I know it feels like there's no possible way out, and that this will be a cycle you continue to live in the rest of your life, that there is breakthrough and that Christ will walk with you through this. And that doesn't mean that this is going to be a perfect journey. It doesn't mean that it's going to automatically be all easy times and that you'll never have a struggle anymore. It does mean that you have to make your first step, even if it feels insignificant. If you never make that first step and start your journey of recovery, you'll never get there. Even the smallest of steps and educating yourself and reading the word, having community is where you have to start.